Okay, hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Kate/Rat-chan here. This is the first of maybe a couple of videos covering a few of my favorite tools in Clip Studio Paint that have really made the program a lot easier for me to use, and possibly some other things that new users might not initially know exist in the program, in the hopes that this can encourage people to try it out. I ain't sponsored or anything. I just love Clip Studio Paint a lot. I've used probably every single program on the market at the moment, from Paint Tool Sci to Art Rage to Sketchbook Pro on desktop and on a tablet, to MS Paint when I was 15 with a mouse and fill bucket, to Photoshop, Creative Cloud, and now Clip Studio Paint. I've settled on Clip Studio Paint. Of course, every single artist is going to kind of figure out which program they like the best. I still have a lot of love for Photoshop and Sketchbook Pro, but right now, I'm really enjoying Clip Studio Paint, and I haven't had issues with it yet. And it's been maybe two and a half years that I've really been dedicated to it. So, with that being said, I thought a good place to start would be to talk about my favorite way to start coloring a piece, and that is the fill bucket tool. Every artist has their own way of doing it. Just thought I'd show mine because the fill bucket tool is definitely a really useful one, especially in Clip Studio Paint, and it comes with some pretty great options. So to begin with, you're going to find the fill bucket tool over here on the left side of the screen, and I can kind of go over my general workspace. I know that your workspace is always going to be different. I like the way mine's set up, and for me, fill bucket tool is over here. If it's not, you can always go to Window, and you'll have your tools. You'll have, all of it. It'll show you what some people like, certain things showing up on their workspace, etc., etc. Here, this is tools. There's the fill bucket. Now, I also down here have some sub-tools, and that'll be different depending on what I pick. So I generally do here's subtool pen, subtool pencil, and off here specifically it's pastels, but we're doing the fill bucket today. And that'll just show you your different options. So all the different brushes show up here, which can be a whole nother video as how to navigate the subtool menus. And here we have the fill bucket. We also have over here, and I'll bring it to the center of the screen, we have the tool properties, and that's just another thing you can get in the window is tool property, and that'll show you. It'll have a box pop up, and that's just a really easy thing to keep in the corner that can, when you're working with brushes, it's going to show you size, blending modes, all that stuff you want to be changing on the go. And with fill bucket, you have a couple of options. I'm just going to keep bringing this to the center. You have follow adjacent pixel. You have an option called close gap, color margin, area scaling, multiple referring. You have an opacity, and anti-aliasing. And there are more options. If you click the little wrench icon in any tool, on any tool property, you're going to get subtool details. And this is even more options. So fill, reference, ink, anti-aliasing. Other brushes will have more options. Some brushes might not have as many. And if you want things to show up on this little box so you can access them faster, you just hit the little eye icon here. So anything that doesn't have the icon, eye icon is gonna not show up in the box. And if you do have it, so here, close gap shows up, turn it off, doesn't show up, type of thing. So essentially you can just have a quick shortcut to fixing those things and really customizing what your workspace is going to look like. I don't really have a lot of use for snap to symmetrical ruler, so it's not going to show up on my shortcut tool settings because I don't need it. Self-explanatory, I guess. And as far as, I'm still learning the program, I'm going to disclaim that now, but as far as I know. These are what these things stand for. Actually, I don't know what follow adjacent pixel means. Anyways, close gap. That's my favorite thing ever. As someone who doesn't always like to have line art meet and has always hated the fill bucket tool because it really always seemed to just leak out of every single tiniest gap, and with textured pens especially, you would always get that gosh dang annoying, you couldn't tell where it was sometimes, because with a texture pen it could just be like, oh, that doesn't really count as a line, so I'm just gonna fill out of it, and then cover your entire canvas in red. Very frustrating. A close gap tool fixes that problem. I'll put this guy aside, and I'm just gonna show you a few examples. So bring up my pen. My favorite chalk tool, by the way, is the chalk tool. I have a couple of them. And I can go over why a lot of these have Japanese names later. They come from an asset bar that Clip Studio Paint also has, which is amazing and incredibly useful. So close gap is going to fix the problem where you go like this. You're going to want to color it in. I might not have actually done that better. Yeah, no, it's gonna cover the canvas. I've already messed up. So it's not perfect, as you just saw, but that's because the gap's probably too big. Oh, go away. Thank you. Go back. So if the gap's too big, I mean, actually, I feel like if we, it's semi-intuitive. I feel like it'll actually pick up better if I do that. Yep, okay. You do get this ugly kind of harsh line right here, but generally speaking, it's not that hard to clean it up. And as far as like effort goes, it's not that much of an effort. That's close gap. Something I used without talking about was refer to other layers. CSP, really easy. You just click refer to other layers and bam, there you have it. Next things next is close gap, color margin. I'm gonna be real. We're just gonna be that. We don't know what that means, so we're gonna move on. Area scaling. So right now I have that set to 2 pixels. This is right here is just pixels. I think you can change that somewhere. I haven't figured it out, and I'm fine with pixels. Area scaling changes how much more it increases or how much it takes away when you actually film. So if I increase this to 11, it increased by 11. So the fill area, it just bleeds a little bit more. If you had it -6, it takes away. I'm just going to show you a quick other way to do a fill bucket in a space. The marquee tool. Specifically, I like to use a selection pen because that allows me to really color in what I want. We're going to make a new layer. So, as you can see, I just fill bucketed everything and selected. Turn off the selection. There it is. Those are all of the fill bucket tools that I primarily use. And I figured I could show you some more tricks with this guy or gal. We haven't really decided yet. So some other things about the fill bucket is it's decently intuitive. Sometimes you do still need to error correct for it, but as far as my experience with it, it's definitely worth still having the error correct once in a while. So here we're gonna do, I actually want to play around. How do we want to use? Oh, I have it set on really low opacity. Okay, I usually have that set to 100. So here we have, I just did one simple fill. Essentially, first off, I'm seeing how it interprets my line art. And then I go in, oh, actually I should show you with a darker color. So I'm just gonna do that real quick. Okay, so you can see under here exactly what I mean with it's not going to go all the way under the line art. And that's something that I'll generally just fix by grabbing like a big pen Oops. And I'll just do a wash under everything. I could go and do, have the area scaling of the pixels go further out, but often enough when I'm working on like a bigger piece like this, I don't always necessarily want it to bleed into everything. At the end of the day, like the fill bucket is a base. So a really good starting point would be to take the time to go ahead and fill everything in that didn't get filled in from the initial fill. And correct anything, any lines that are really glaring. When I do turn this back to that lighter yellow, I mean, you won't see the difference. That's true. But I can feel the difference. It's sort of, I guess, enough for me. I'm just gonna make this light again and we'll continue. Now that we have that, something I didn't really mention. Oh, I should have earlier. We're actually gonna, okay, I'm gonna blank that real quick. We're gonna go back in. When you are working with the fill bucket, and this is something that can help with those little pesky like white little bits and pieces, or when you have something that is closed off away from the rest of the line art, you can use the fill bucket and you can drag it across the screen. And you can fill in a lot of those areas that you might not be as successful at pinpointing. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully it taught you something new about CSP. This is a base more than anything. I mean, this can be, your finished product as well, but for me, this is usually a base, and that's what the fill bucket is really good for. Fiddle with it as much as you want. Have a lot of fun with it, and I hope you have a good day, a good rest of your morning, rest of your afternoon, and a rest of your evening.